Two more great guests today. Past the bottom of the hour, we're going to bring our friend Bobbie Ann Cox in, New York civil rights attorney. Tell us a little about Peanut the squirrel and about Prop 1, as well as quarantine camps that are maybe planned by their governor and also the current administration that's on its way out. Tyler Fischer, though, will join us first. He's, of course, a stand-up viral content creator. He has been in America's Got Talent. He's been also a comedic actor as well. He is on Gutfeld regularly. And you will see him doing his Trump imitation all over the place. You can follow him on X at Ty, the Fish, F-I-S-C-H. Bobbie Ann is, of course, on X also at attorney_Cox. So he's got some interesting stuff going on himself with Delta Airline, and he's got a lawsuit for having been fired for being white. We'll talk about all that next.
Our laws, as it pertains to substances, are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous.
I'm a doctor, for sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that?
I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want to help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say.
Joint muscle pains are exhausting and frustrating, but I've got a over-the-counter medication I want to introduce you to that provides great relief using the power of, check it out, chili peppers. Capsidin is made with a proprietary formula that contains no non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents, no opioids, no anesthetic or steroid, nothing, no chance for addiction, no side effects, no chance it's going to interact with other medication you might be taking. Capsidin contains capsaicin, which is the substance in chili peppers that burns your tongue. That gives you that burny feeling. And of course, I've recommended capsaicin creams to patients over the years, but other capsaicin creams burn your skin. That's what makes capsidin so unique. In clinical trials, capsidin has actually been demonstrated not to burn.
I've been using capsidin to relieve my pain in my hands and my wrist from carpal tunnel syndrome and arthritis. The results have been amazing. I use it every day during my show, and I highly recommend it.
Get the pain relief you need from various sources, even backache, sprains, bruises even. Order now at capsidin.com/Drew to get a 15% discount plus free shipping. That is CAPSADYN, capsidin.com/DREW. We also have a very exciting guest tomorrow, C.J. Hopkins. If you know that story, he's an expat in Germany who got just railroaded for putting a little symbol that taking on sort of fascism, but putting a fascist symbol suddenly became an issue where he has been railroaded by the legal system there. So Barsh's been working on trying to get him for quite some time. He'll be in here with Remy Daleke again. He's got something to update us on. And then Susan's show will be at 3 o'clock. We'll tell you more about that later. But right now, Tyler Fischer, I want you to follow him on Tyler Fischer, FISCHER.com for tour dates and whatnot, as well as follow him on Ty the Fish, FISCH. Let's see, is there anything else we got to... You can, where else we going to know about Tyler? I'll let him tell you himself. Tyler, welcome to the program.
Oh, hey, Drew, you just caught me using some capsidin here. This is awkward timing.
Nice. You don't want to put it on your mouth though. That will burn, but it is good for everyone. Right. No, not on your junk either. Not on your junk. Yeah, the junk will burn a bit.
All right.
So, well done. That's where it's used.
All right. How are you, man?
Nice. Well, I'm looking at the doggy over your right shoulder, whom I recognize from our last breakfast together. There he is. That dog right. Goes everywhere with Tyler.
Yeah.
And it is the sweetest. Why?
Well, because we flew somewhere yesterday and we just drove 5 hours. I have a show in 2 hours in Omaha, Nebraska, in case anybody's around at 7 p.m. The Funny Bone in Omaha, Nebraska.
Nice. And does she, is a she, right? She?
Oh!
No. Okay, hold on.
Wow.
Well, what are her pronouns? What are her pronouns, dude?
I didn't think you would misgender this early in the program, but here comes your far-right extremism. Their name is Freddie.
Okay. Okay. So they, them, do they, them travel with you everywhere? I mean, what do you do during a show?
Yeah, he flies with me. He's a trained service dog. Yes, straight white men have problems too, as you know. So he during the show he just sleeps right here. I come right back to the hotel room, hopefully with
Oh,
several.
wow, nice. I got it. So, so talk to me. Speaking of straight white males having problems, tell me about the lawsuit. I think I saw you with Dr. Phil getting into detail about it, playing the tape that you had. Tell people about what happened there.
Yeah, Dr. Phil. Yeah, he was one of the only ones to allow me to talk about it. I'm forever grateful for that. Yeah, quite simply, I've been in the acting industry for 17 years. And I would say like 8 or 9 years ago, I started to hear things from agents, managers, comedy clubs. They would start saying, well, there's too many white guys and too many white dudes. And then the white dudes became, almost like a slur. And they just started saying it out loud. So one agent quite literally scouted me, said, we're going to get you on SNL. And then he fired me over email, let me go over email. He just said, it's too tough out there for white dudes because they're all a bunch of woke pussies and they can't stand up to this stuff. So as you can see, with Trump being elected, it just snowballed and people just said enough. So that happened. Yeah. And then another manager scouted me. We got to get you on SNL, the same old thing. And then they called me and they said, we have a problem. We have a new company policy to not represent white men. And I recorded it because I was like, I was losing my damn mind. And so that was 3 years ago, filed a lawsuit in the Supreme Court in Brooklyn, New York. It's legal to record people without telling them there. Thank God, I had no idea. It's been 3 years and it's been quite a wild journey to see the reaction, both positive and negative.
And how are the courts treating it?
We haven't even gotten a court date yet. So nothing has really happened yet. We're just sort of waiting to see if it's going to court or not. I think it can come down to, do we have a woke jury or not?
Oh, it's a jury trial. Interesting. And so
I'm not sure yet, but yeah.
So you're a white nationalist, fascist, white supremacist, right? That's obvious. And
when I did get the COVID vaccine, those were the labels. And so I was like, well, that's a quick way to throw someone out of the Democratic Party. I was a lifelong, very loyal, very good little Democrat. And they lost a good one, and now it's like, if I didn't become Republican or conservative, but if they're going to welcome me with open arms and say, hey, you can't fire someone for their race and you can't, ban someone from an airline for a tweet, then come here, Daddy Donald, you're my dad now.
Tell them about the tweet.
Oh yeah. So I was on a Delta flight and, I just took a photo of a pride pin. Side note, I'm raised by gay men, so I'm not homophobic. I not long ago sobbed at my dad's wedding when he kissed his new husband of joy. But I don't want to know people's sexual preferences. So I put up a tweet. I just said, do I need to know who sucks D or eats P? Oh, you'll put the whole thing up. Yeah, you don't care. You're canceled.
We've been downgraded everywhere, so it's all right. I didn't want anybody to hear you anyway, Tyler. So it's good that we get canceled all the way. So go ahead.
Yeah, this isn't even airing anywhere, is it? We're just hanging out.
No, we're just hanging out, you and I. It's been a minute.
Yeah. So that was the joke. It's not Shakespeare, not my best work, but Twitter X is not for your best work. It's the public bathroom stall of the internet. So yeah, do I need to know who sucks dick or eats pussy? Does it help the plane fly? Banned for life. Now, I will say the original one had the face in there and I deleted it out of respect for a family member that reached out and said, I don't want their face in it. And I said, sure. And I took it down.
Yeah.
It was gone.
Yeah.
The Delta employees started posting it again and saying, ban him, boycott his career. And Delta very quickly, actually, let me read this for you because I don't think this was posted. So Delta's immediate reaction was, as a result, in collaboration with your IFS leadership team, legal and corporate security, since we were able to identify the customer, they have been placed on the no-fly list. The base leadership team has been supporting our flight attendant since we were made aware of the social media post. Our support also includes aiding in securing outside counsel for the flight attendant to take action against their attacker. So
Perfect.
I'm known as the attacker for a free speech tweet, and it seems like Delta might be supporting or aiding a lawsuit against me. I haven't heard anything since then, but
Well, I suspect they backed down since then, right? Things have gotten a little looser.
You said ISIS there. I suspect. Yeah, I am part of ISIS now, Dr. Drew.
No. You had mentioned that they backed down somewhat. You want to give them business, right? You're a comedian on the road. You want to be able to fly Delta. Was that? Yeah. You don't have anything against that particular flight attendant. I suspect they found out that you have two dads. That's what I suspect. And that they
I don't think
would
that
be
carries any weight anymore, actually.
No, I think that they're not. See, they were going to call you homophobic, but they lose that bullet when you have two dads, right? So they can't shoot that at you.
No,
they can call you
people. I think
keep going.
maybe 10 years ago that worked, but now it's like, oh, you're not going to speak for someone else's experience, you straight white guy. You don't even comment on what other people are doing. Right.
But I still think that I don't know, they might be a little bit nervous about doing this these days, it seems to me. Because you could countersue now, and there's so much more to be done. But be that as it may, you would like it to settle down. You would like to be able to fly Delta. You harbor no animosity toward this flight attendant who attacked you, after all, right? Attacked you on Twitter, on X, yes?
Well, no, I don't think the flight attendant had any response. See, this is what the woke people do. They will take over for somebody else's experience and they'll fight for them.
See.
As far as I know, that flight attendant has not even commented on this. And
oh my goodness.
I wish him all the best, or her or they or whatever, but No, I fly Delta all the time. The thing is, Dr. Drew, they told me you are on a permanent lifetime no-fly list ban. That's why I went on Twitter and I told the story and I go, hey, I got 2 million fans online. You guys should know about this. They then did call me and they said, well, no, it doesn't really mean permanent. So I guess their lifetime ban identifies as a partial ban because we're not based in reality anymore. So,
right.
Yeah.
Speaking of your 2 million fans, did you remember to retweet this show? Did you post it? Did you click through and repost?
Help the guy out here. But didn't you get attacked by an angry mob though too? That kind of made you uncomfortable after that.
Don't talk about my ex-girlfriend like that. Well, first of all, I am shadow banned, I think, everywhere but Twitter. So I wear this hat now so that people, I'm not searchable unless you type in the whole thing. I'm in timeout on Instagram. Yes, wow. I got an angry mob of flight attendants. Oh yeah, I have it all documented. They found my address. We're going to come to your house. It's spread to other airlines. People from United said, if you get on United, we're going to beat your ass. So I will be sending all of this to Delta to say, hey, are you going to uphold your policy and fire or find these people who are attacking me?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you make? One of the things that made you famous, at least Caleb feels this way very strongly, was a woke Jordan Peterson. What do we call then? Imitation skit? How do you refer to that?
Well, it's like, well, you're putting words in my mouth, and let's be precise in your speech. Like, well, we didn't even do a damn land acknowledgement. It's like, well, the cis privilege here is really bubbling over. So, that's all I'll say about that.
Well, Dr. Peterson, there he is. Or is that you? There. And oh yeah, it's so funny. So your real traction though comes with the president-elect. So I'm wondering if you, Mr. Trump, have anything to offer us about the flurry of executive officials that you have been, cabinet officials. For instance, Tulsi Gabbard today was named as the head of the National Intelligence Operation, and we have Matt Gaetz perhaps in the Department of Justice. I'm hearing lots of interesting things. And of course we have Ramaswamy and Musk in the new DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. What do you say, Mr. Trump?
So we love, what a great group. We have a big group. We might bring Dr. Drew in for the chief of creams. He loves creams. We just saw his beautiful wife rubbing cream on her wrist. We love her so much. But we're bringing in Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, Secretary of Comfort. Everybody's going to be comfortable. And we might even, of course, we have RFK Jr. Think of that, making America healthy again. And excuse me, as the new head chef of McDonald's, Dr. Drew, we have completely revamped the menu. Excuse me. We're doing chicken nuggets. We'll be healthy. We're using fresh Atlantic cod for the fish fillet, and you're going to literally lose weight from eating the fries. It's going to be fucking amazing. So it's going to be wonderful. Excuse me.
And so it was must have been quite an exciting thing to see the support of the majority of American public. I think you referred to it as an extraordinary and once in a historical event. You're known for hyperbole. How did you describe what happened on election night?
The American people, they're tired of the wokeness, right? Kamala, you're fired, right? You're fired. They tried to do the DEI. They tried to sneak in a DEI president. Could you believe that? And that would have been historic. They said, sir, think of it, the first retarded hyena in the Oval Office. It would have been so great, but we're not falling for it. We're not falling for it. We're making comedy great again. You can get these on Isla Fisher's website. Go support that little guy. He looks like Zach Galifianakis fucked Macaulay Culkin. Give him some love.
And that's the McFaw movement. Make comedy funny again. McFaw movement. And I just saw Mafa. Yeah, you go. And Mr. President, I also saw that you're going to, on one day early in your administration, you are going to identify as a woman, so there can have been a woman in the Oval Office.
Day one, right? We're gonna bring in Tampon Tim to put some tampons in the Oval Office bathroom, and we'll do one day of a great female administration. And if you have your period, you get the day off. We're going to do that. It's going to be a national holiday whenever you have your heavy flow. We like to say heavy flow. And it's going to be so great. Women are going to be strong. And we're making women again, aren't we, Dr. Drew?
With saying heavy flow.
We hear a woman crying in the back, probably a Kamala supporter. They're still crying. They're doing a sex ban. Have you seen this? These women are saying no sex. And I said, what a shame that the fattest, ugliest, hairiest women are closing shop to their big vaginas. It's so sad.
Wow. Okay. So if I could speak to Tyler again for a minute, it'd be awesome. There we go. So are you having more demand for the Trump now that the election has happened?
No, not really. I think because I do so many, it's probably schizophrenia, you tell me, but what's funny about it is the progression. I used to do Trump because I hated him, because I only watched CNN and I fell for everything. And I do actually. I don't sympathize for the people crying. You've got Jimmy Kimmel crying on TV. I just heard a comedian say, you know what? If in 2016, I get it. I can understand. It was scary, but you saw what he did in 4 years. The world didn't fall apart, and so it's fun now to do the impression as somebody who likes him now. I still make fun of him. I don't. I'm not like taking my foot off the gas now that I'm more of a fan of him, and I'll be making fun of him.
He is, yeah. I mean, it's such good territory for you. He is very funny and he's very distinct in his way he presents himself. And you nailed the hand movement, which I always found very odd. I don't know why he does that. And let me the other thing, yeah. And if you're sitting on a stage, the other thing he does is he if you're ever doing a Trump impersonation, I want to show you something. Maybe put a picture up if you can, Caleb, of him with like anything where he's sitting down next to a world leader side by side where he's facing out. He spreads his legs way apart and he puts his hands in a diamond shape in front of his genitalia. It's such a distinct thing. And no one seems to notice it. To me, it's like, oh my God, every time it's how he says. And I wonder if it's intentional or subconscious, or I don't know. I'm just curious.
But, manly way to sit, he's going, here's
there it is. Here it is. There he is with Netanyahu.
I found it in 1 second. Like there's so many of them of him sitting exactly that way.
He never, it's always the way, 100% of the time when he sits with a world leader.
Well, and get this, Drew. So a lot of people, every time he does that, they think it's an Illuminati hand signal. So that's a conspiracy of its own. It's because it makes like a triangle shape. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, they're going to be digging now. They're going to have to dig a deep trench to find new 15 years of trying to, come up with conspiracies about him. But I did hear, I don't know if this is a conspiracy. He's considering bringing Ben Shapiro in the administration. As at least one of his advisors, which I think would be interesting mainly because he's a podcaster and he's probably going to be doing ad reads like you while he's addressing the nation. My fellow Americans, we are at war. This is very serious. We are at war with North Korea. They got a hold of our nuclear codes because we are terrible at protecting our online data. That's why I use ExpressVPN. I encourage all Americans to go to expressvpn.com, use code World War III for 10% off. Great deal. What a great deal. What a great deal.
Do you do an Alex Jones?
I actually do. I haven't broken it out yet, so it's going to be time for that. Yeah, I'll work on that.
Caleb, do you have the little clip when he was on this show and he talked about flying over the flak and how this would be such great for you, Tyler. I had to email it to you, but he is a very. He's so funny. These people are so funny, right? It's such great for comedians. This is going to be a whole new world, especially now that you can talk. You can actually be funny.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I don't know if have you experienced any of the shadow banning or censoring on your.
Oh yeah, God, of course.
I really hope Trump and all of them hold them accountable, because when Trump was president the first time, I was hopeful. But not a whole lot happened. I still get banned and demonetized. Twitter's now X is the only place, obviously, I don't get censored. But I would love to see what my actual career would look like if I wasn't stifled so much.
Yeah. I mean, to some extent, the marketplace is handling this with X, with Rumble, but it really is the Facebook, Instagram world that needs to lighten up. YouTube, I don't know if we can do that one. I don't know.
I gave up.
But yeah, I gave up. But at least Facebook is so egregious in the way it does it. YouTube just down regulates you. You're just turned, the volume is turned down. Facebook and Instagram do a lot of banning and stuff too, right?
Yeah, I actually met a woman on an airline, not Delta, and she worked for Facebook. And we got to talking. I told her I was a comedian. I said, "Hey, I've been frozen on Facebook for 5 years. My 50,000 frozen." And she said, "Well, I could take a look at it." And I said, you can just turn me back on. She goes, "Well, it depends on the jokes." And I'm thinking, you bitch. And guess what? Yeah. My Facebook page I've lost access to it. I don't know if it was her, but she quite literally said, if I don't like the jokes, no, I'm not turning you back on. But we're the fascists. We're the dictators.
You should be able to sue somebody for that. But I guess it's the private
You
organization.
got banned on Facebook Live.
Me?
Yeah.
Instagram Live.
Instagram Live. Sorry. And you also every time we start making money on YouTube, they demonetize us for some music that they say we can't play, and then they lift it.
On TikTok, I posted a short with Alex Jones that had nothing offensive at all in it. And it was immediately down within 2 minutes of posting just because it had his name in it. It's just completely banned, and you got a community strike. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, let's not play that tape then of Alex Jones. Let's not do that.
We can't play anything on TikTok.
But it's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad to see people censoring themselves. Even people with larger podcasts will go, you know what? Let's not say that topic. And I go, in communist China, like you see why Trump won.
Tyler, for 2 years, I couldn't talk to my medical peers about certain things. You were not allowed. We had to have a code word for ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. If you said it, you were immediately taken off and taken down.
Right.
These are people.
Was the code word the COVID vaccine?
We would just say the I word.
Yeah.
You say the I word or the H word, something like that. But so you got involved with RFK Jr. and the last time you and I were together was in San Jose. You were opening and I was sort of moderating this day-long event that was really kind of interesting. And was that your first jump into RFK's world? And A, and B, how do you feel about him? What his position is going to be? What he's likely to do?
That was the first time I think I heard him speak live, and I wanted him to continue for another 4 hours. He's one of the most intelligent people that I've ever heard speak, second to you, of course. And
of course,
how knowledgeable he is on vaccines and pesticides and health. I'm so happy he's part of Trump's administration. This is a huge win. And I mean, I personally, when I was 7, became allergic to every fruit, and obviously, it was either a vaccine, or pesticides, or a combination of both. So it's impacted my life, and then of course, getting fired for not getting the COVID vaccine, which I didn't have any opinion. Yeah, but I mean, once it became mandated to work in New York City, I just couldn't believe it. I was shocked. And I was a far left, liberal, woke douchebag. I was all of the things. And to me, it was like, wait a minute, we don't do this in this country. We don't tell people they have to get medicine and that they have to share it to their friends. And I remember I was sitting in a circle of people out in the park. We all had our dogs, and they're going, when are you getting the shot? What date? Tyler, what day are you going? What doctor? I go, whoa, this is new and it's scary. And I just said, I'm not getting it. And so I wasn't allowed to do stand-up comedy in New York. And then the fact that I stood up for it, I was labeled far right, extremist, QAnon. And I started getting bullied within the stand-up comedy scene. And I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident I can say I was quite loved before that, because I was just a quality, hardworking, silly comedian who did, nothing too crazy outside of impressions. So that was it for me. That was like, all right, I'm gonna go watch a Trump rally and see what he's up to. And I switched. I was done. I was like, I am out. I'm out of this insane party that's gone way too far.
Was there a particular moment when the scales fell from your eyes?
Yeah, it was an email from a comedy club that said, send us your vaccine papers. And I go, what, am I a dog? What was going on? It was that combined with the consistent call to not hire white men based on their skin color. I go, what? We're going backwards 50, 100 years, and nobody's speaking up against it. And if you do speak up against it, you're labeled racist. So the gloves were off. The gloves are, I didn't know I have any more glove to take off, but each day I'm just pulling my arm hair out.
And to me, I was objecting to the passports in New York to get into restaurants and institutions which were required. You had to show your passport because the majority of the unvaccinated in New York were Black Americans. And they were literally discriminating actively against Black Americans for not having a vaccine. It was bizarre to me that they felt they could do that, and that nobody pointed that out as racist.
I was doing it, but I was careful because everyone was affected. So I didn't want to just say, hey, the Blacks need our support, because it was me and my Black neighbor who were out on the street going, hey, you want to have a picnic on the sidewalk because we're not allowed in the restaurant down the street. But I'm in one of those Black neighborhoods in Brooklyn. I live in Brooklyn, and now I live in Texas because I needed a little bit of freedom. And my neighborhood is probably 95% Black, and they are beaten down. They're lonely. It's a bunch of old Black women walking around with masks on because they didn't get the vaccine, but they still watch CNN. And these people have been destroyed. And everyone's back drinking their cappuccinos, having a good time. And I'm going, look what you did. And I stood up for it, and I'm the devil.
Do you still take shit from your former compatriots?
Yeah, but I don't care. And you know, I can separate this. These are my colleagues. They're not. I did endorse Trump, which I said I would never do, but I just thought if she wins and I didn't do that, I would feel horrible. And I think that's what happened to Joe Rogan as well.
Right.
Oddly enough,
we all wanted RFK in Washington too. I mean, that was my thing. I just want him in Washington. I want him doing his thing there. And but I'm surprised you didn't go more libertarian.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means. Is that another cream that you're selling? What is that?
Your friend
Capsident.
Me balanced.
Your friend across your friend across the studio, across the stage from you on Gutfeld, the blonde girl is a libertarian, hardcore. Kat Timpf is a libertarian. And like I say all the time, I used to think I was libertarian until I met her. And then I understood, that's not what I am.
Yeah, I don't even have a political party. That was another turning point for me. The fact that everybody just labeled me because I didn't do one thing. I'm like,
right.
It's so childish and naive and just illogical. But I did say I'm voting for Trump, and here's why. And I lost a ton of followers, which to me was a badge of honor. A ton, but in the context of how many I have, it's irrelevant, really.
Right. Are there certain issues that are just like line in the sand or red line issues for you, left over from all that you've been through the last couple of years? In other words, we've talked about a lot of different things that have come down around your ears, but are there certain, as a result of this experience, are there certain things you went, just these are absolute priorities that I will stand up for, go to the mat for, no matter what? Is there anything like that out there for you?
Yeah, well, the medical mandates, which I think would come back if someone like Kamala won, if we had another pandemic or something similar, we already know their record on that. They called us, it was the pandemic of the unvaccinated. They quite literally shamed millions of Americans as being the cause of something that China fucked up on, which is absolutely inexcusable. And I think they should actually be they should be brought to court for that, for sure. What Biden did was so unconstitutional. He should have been removed immediately after that. The divide that it's caused in this country I don't think it's repairable. Because I tour the country. I'm literally like crawling around this country, meeting people who have been destroyed by it. They lost their family, their jobs, this is going to take generations to fix. That, and also this DEI stuff, shaming people based on their skin color, not hiring people or hiring people based on their skin color. You can see what it does. It's destroyed Hollywood. Kamala was an admitted DEI hire, arguably one of the worst politicians we've ever had in this country. And the American people said enough is enough. So I would love to get involved with Trump's administration to try to dig into the DEI stuff in Hollywood. I would absolutely.
Would it be interesting, you know, how they have that journalist function every year? If you were the one that they picked to do the Washington group, there's two of those, two different ones, but one is a big correspondence center.
I did it last year, you know.
Okay, that's right. I did know that.
I hosted I hosted the smaller one.
Yes, the smaller one.
Yeah, I told some funny jokes too.
Yeah, I think that, well, Gutfeld, maybe you and me being on that, Gutfeld saw that clip because I went hard on CNN and everybody, and that was like, they actually didn't air half of it. I got booed and I ran down into the crowd and started eating people's cake and sitting at their table because it got real. I have to post. I think somebody filmed it on their phone. It got really ugly and they were really upset at me, but I'm like, well, why'd you hire me? Tony Hinchcliffe's hosting the White House one.
Oh, I didn't realize Tyler Fischer was an absolute radical, but here we are. He was a left-leaning radical, and now he's a right-leaning radical. That must be just a shock to you. That must be absolutely shocking.
I still can't believe it, but you know, people wear Trump hats to my shows, and at first it was weird, and some people that are liberal that come get freaked out and they run out of they scream at me, but I'm one of them. I don't care what they wear or who they vote for. I'm just a regular old American, and there's nothing but love at my shows, and nobody gets offended, and I say some wild shit, but people need to hear it. You're the people that want to hear it. So it's not only fun and funny, but it's kind of therapeutic for everybody, including myself, to get us all in these rooms and just say, we're going to just go for it and laugh our asses off. And then we'll storm the Capitol.
So we're going to wrap up. You and I see the doggy moving around like he needs some attention or he wants some food or something. He's quite busy back there. I don't know if you've seen him, but he's wagging his tail. You see him? There he is at the front. Maybe somebody came to the door.
Tail, honey, not his.
Their tail, wagging their tail. Oh, there he is.
Their tail.
Hi, Freddie.
There he is.
Good to see them. Tyler.
Yeah, and I'll just say this. I have an election comedy special, which just hit 3.5 million views on X. It's on YouTube as well. My hats are for sale now. It's all that money goes so I can fly other airlines because it's getting expensive.
So there's your upcoming dates. But what's the name of the special on X and YouTube?
The election special.
The election special. Very creative name. Well, it's great to see you. It's very great to see you again. And good luck. Go forth. Continue to speak your truth, whatever that might be. And hopefully we'll see you again soon in person.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, buddy.
Great job. Thank you so much. See you soon. All right. So we're going to switch gears. I have Bobbie Ann Cox in here in just a minute. She's going to talk to us about Peanut the squirrel and about Prop 1 in New York, quarantine camps, a lot of stuff going on. And do follow Tyler on X. He needs more millions. We got to get behind that boy.
He needs his private jet. So maybe we, can make him famous enough so he can just fly his own jet.
Or at least, or get on a one of those cars.
I see the comedian, they all start laughing like he can't afford a jet. Okay, neither can I, but still.
All right, we'll take a little break. Back with Bobbie Ann Cox after this. The Wellness Company knows that taking charge of your family's health care is a top priority, and that is why they are constantly innovating to deliver the products and services to help you be rationally ready for an emergency. They've added a medical kit for kids to treat over 20 childhood illnesses: nausea, vomiting, allergies, asthma, bowel terror, God forbid, croup, ear infections, lice, and more. And you can also order the kids kit with an EpiPen. Carefully sourced, great price. If there's a risk of anaphylaxis for your kids, you want that EpiPen. That can be in all kits, each customized for a different purpose. It comes, of course, with a telemedicine consultation and a guidebook, and you can replenish the meds up to 2 years after the date of purchase. So go to drdrew.com/2WC for 10% off any medical emergency kit or supplements. That is drdrew.com/TWC. I want to teach you about pharmacogenomic testing. This is changing the way we approach healthcare. By analyzing a patient's genetic profile, pharmacogenomics helps physicians personalize drug treatments for more effective results. First, it enhances medication efficacy by predicting how a patient will respond to a specific drug, reducing the trial and error process, especially in mental health care. For example, it can guide the choice of various medications to minimize side effects and improve outcomes. In the long run, pharmacogenomic testing leads to cost savings. It shortens the time to find the right treatment and avoids expensive side effects. It also supports more personalized care, helping physicians make better decisions and ensuring that treatments are tailored to each individual's unique genetic makeup. Test simply requires you to swab your cheek, then you send in the sample to our lab. Discover the power of personalized medicine with pharmacogenomic testing. Tailor your treatments based on your unique genetic makeup. Reduce trial and error, avoid side effects, find the most effective medication for you. Take control of your health today. Go to drdrew.com/checkgenetics. That is drdrew.com/checkgenetics. I'm excited to bring you a new product, a new supplement, Fatty. I take it. I make Susan take it. My whole family takes it. This comes out of, believe it or not, dolphin research. The Navy maintains a fleet of dolphins, and a brilliant veterinarian recognized that these dolphins sometimes developed a syndrome identical to our Alzheimer's disease. Those dolphins were deficient in a particular fatty acid. She replaced the fatty acid, and they didn't get the Alzheimer's. Humans have the same issue, and we are more deficient in this particular fatty acid than ever before. And a simple replacement of this fatty acid called C15 will help us prevent these syndromes. It's published in a recent journal called Metabolites. It's a new nutritional C15, pentadecanoic acid it's called. The deficiency that we are developing for C15 creates something called the cellular fragility syndrome. This is the first nutritional deficiency syndrome to be discovered in 75 years and may be affecting us in many ways, and as many as 1 in 3 of us. This is an important breakthrough. Take advantage of it. Go to fatty15.com/Dr. Drew to receive 15% off a 90-day starter kit subscription, or use code Dr. Drew at checkout for that 15% off, or just go to our website, drdrew.com/fatty15.
Now, if you want to see stars, you have to watch them dance, dive, or go to rehab with Dr. Drew.
Dr. Pinsky told me that you are having some issues.
He says I'm depressed.
Are you?
We're going to talk a minute about why the Juvent Micro Impact platform is a game changer. You're walking running shoes. Running shoes are great for shielding our joints from the high impact of running, but do you know that wearing a running shoe oftentimes can be shielding you from micro impacts your body needs for optimal health? Our bones grow and stay strong when they are exposed to certain levels of stress, like walking or running. Juvent gives you that same benefit, but in a way that's gentle and safe for your joints, especially if you're dealing with issues like osteoporosis, arthritis, even recovering from an injury. Juvent uses low magnitude, high frequency micro impact technology, which safely delivers tiny impacts that your body needs for optimal bone health. Unlike other vibration plates out there, which can actually be dangerous, Juvent only uses a fraction of the energy while delivering powerful health benefits. If you're looking to strengthen your bones and improve your mobility, this device is a game changer. Check out Juvent Micro Impact Platform at drdrew.com/Juvent. That is drdrew.com/JUVENT. Be sure to use the code DRW for $500 off your Juvent today. That is code Drew. All right, our next guest has been here before, and we were with her at the Brownstone Institute, where she is a fellow. It is Bobbie Ann Cox. She's a New York civil rights attorney, as I said, a fellow at Brownstone. Been in practice of law for over 25 years. You can follow her at attorney_Cox. And you can learn more about her quarantine lawsuit at unitingnys.com/lawsuit. And finally, her firm is coxlawyers.com. Bobbie Ann, welcome back. There you are. Oh, we don't have sound for some reason. Caleb, is that she's muted on her
Sorry,
end?
that was me.
So there
sorry
we are.
about that.
That's us. No problem. No problem. So good to see
I
you.
figured
So
I'd
first
see
of
how
all,
good you were.
question. So see if I can carry it. So first of all, let's talk about that crazy story with the squirrel and the raccoon and the essentially home invasion by the government. What was that?
Yeah, that was a horrendous display of government overreach by the New York State government, which is not uncommon here. I'm based in New York, and this is where I practiced law for the past 25 years or so. But yeah, this is a situation where, this is a perfect example of the government wasting taxpayer dollars to pursue something. The Department of Environmental Conservation went into this couple's home and raided their home for hours. They forced the homeowners to stand outside. I think it was for something like 5 hours. While they raided the home, they had multiple search warrants, which they obtained, by the way, based on a quote unquote anonymous tip from somebody that was, unidentified, that complained that they had, wildlife in their home. Meanwhile, they run a wildlife sanctuary, and so, which they had for years. And they went and they seized their pet, which was a squirrel, Peanut, and another pet that they had, also wildlife, which they had for, I think, several months living in the home. And they took them. And they ended up euthanizing both of the pets. They didn't even tell the owners. The owners found out because they were reached out to by a media source asking for a comment. How do you feel that they, euthanized your pets? So they, as far as I understand, they are now going to take legal action against the government. But this is a terrible example, and I have to say, their pet squirrel, Peanut, was a source of revenue for the family. I guess he was a big sensation on Instagram, I believe it was, and had, tens of thousands of followers on social media. So not only did they take the family's pet, but they actually extinguished one of the modes of income for this family, which I understand, used the money that they were getting, that Peanut, the squirrel, was earning for them to help run their wildlife sanctuary. So, this is what the New York State government is focusing on when we have plenty of other issues that we need to address. Complete violation of these people's constitutional rights. I'm glad that they're hiring an attorney. I'm glad they're taking action, because this is just one example of gross government overreach here in New York. They do whatever they want.
What was the allegation? What was the alleged reason for these intrusions?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the search warrant specifics were, but I do know in listening to an interview that the property or the homeowners, Peanut's owners, gave. He said that they claimed that while they were capturing the squirrel, I guess, one of the government agents got bit by the squirrel, and then I'm guessing again. It's a little bit fuzzy. There's not much as far as documentation. I don't believe the Department of Environmental Conservation has made a statement on this yet, but I believe that then led to them euthanizing the squirrel. They wanted to see if the squirrel had rabies, which, again, from what I understand, that is not a common, squirrels are not common carriers of rabies. But
you would have known. But the fact is, though, what were they doing in the first place? Was there some law being broken? Was there some I mean, what did they imagine they were protecting by raiding someone's house? It's just the most bizarre thing. But it's kind of in keeping with this whole quarantine thing that the state has been talking about. Tell me about that.
Yes. So the New York State Department of Health, together with Governor Kathy Hochul, had issued an isolation and quarantine procedures regulation. This is going back, a couple years now. It was first issued under Cuomo, then he stepped down, Hochul became governor. And then she kept, her Department of Health kept reissuing this emergency regulation. And they basically wanted to be able to pick and choose which New Yorkers they could lock up or lock down. They could have locked you down in your home, or they could have removed you from your home and put you into a facility of their choosing. You had no say in where you were placed. There were no time restraints, so you could have been locked up or locked down for days or weeks or months. There was no age restriction, so they could have taken you from your home, but they also could have taken your child or your grandchild or elderly parent. And there was no process by which you could get out of quarantine once they put you into quarantine. What I mean by that is, this is a great example. We were having oral arguments in front of the trial court judge. This is back in the spring of 2022. And the judge said to the attorney general, the assistant AG that was arguing the case, he said, well, let's say you take a family and let's say you take them from their home, you put them into a facility somewhere, maybe like a hospital or whatever. Once they're in there, how do they get out? And, he thought about it for a minute and he said, well, I guess they could hire a lawyer and they could sue us. So,
oh my God.
You would have to hire a lawyer and sue the government to regain your freedom. I mean, it was the most unconstitutional reg I've ever read in my life. So I brought a lawsuit against the state of New York, and I'm representing a group of New York State legislators, Senator George Borrello, Assemblyman Chris Teague, now Congressman Mike Lawler, together with the Citizens Group, Uniting New York State. And we won. We got the regulation struck down as unconstitutional on multiple levels, but the big one was separation of powers. The governor and the Department of Health don't have the power to make a law, and that really was a law. And so what did they do? The governor, Tish James, our attorney general, they appealed. Of course, they waited until after the 2022 elections when both the AG and the governor were running for election. And they appealed. The appellate court overturned. Now we're, trying to get up to the highest court in New York State to appeal the reversal. It's just a complete, astonishing power grab. And thus far, what we're seeing is this is their MO, right? This is what they do in New York.
Yeah. Well, welcome to California too. But our AG says just comply. I mean, the worst thing you could ever hear from an elected official, just comply. It's like no due process, no regard for the law, just comply. And I'm wondering, given that they can no longer maintain the ruse that they're in the majority or they're the good guys or, this is the direction this country wants to go, if they're waking up from their weird delusional states.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure if they are, particularly in our states, right? You're in California, I'm in New York. Because the culture in our states is very different than the national culture that we've seen. With last week's election, there was a clear mandate given by the American people to our government. But in New York, we didn't have a red wave like that. Our election day saw the Democrats, these radical Democrats that control our state in Albany, in the legislature, they all got reelected. They still have their supermajority controlling the New York State legislature. And this Prop 1, this horrendous, another power grab by the New York State government passed. here in New York. So it is a different culture, I think, than the national culture. Now, could that change? Could that trickle down? Now that we're going to see some big changes coming at the federal level in our country, yeah, of course, that can trickle down to the states. But I'm not sure if we are going to see, the California government, the New York government pulling back too much. I'm hoping we do, because what they're doing on many levels with these various initiatives is unconstitutional. But when you have complete power like that, when you have one party rule governing a state, as we do in New York and as you do in California, it's very dangerous, because you don't see both sides of an argument. You only see one party ruling, all branches of government. And when they do that, then you don't hear half the voices of half the citizens of the state. And it's really
interestingly, I agree with you. But interestingly, I noticed that Newsom, our governor, went on the warpath and was like, we're going to resist this and we're going to fight back. And I remember this all back in 2016. He did the exact same thing. And people literally went out to the streets with the resist movement. Remember the whole resist thing? And at the time, I remember going, what are you resisting exactly? What are we doing? What do you want? Resist? We're just resisting? And it became this huge thing. That's when they did the sanctuary cities, the sanctuary state, and we're resisting. This time, he got destroyed on Twitter. Instead of people getting in the street, he got his ass handed to him on X, and he shut the hell up. So when I saw that happen, I really thought, oh, maybe there is a chance that he will get with the program a little bit, because that guy, if nothing else, it's about putting your finger in the air and seeing which way the wind's blowing. That's his deal. So it'll be interesting. He shut up the next day. So we'll see. I hope you have similar experiences with Hochul. It seems a little different.
That's a great story. I was not aware of that. That is a great story. So that does make me think perhaps the tide might turn a bit in California. Here in New York, Governor Hochul is already reviving the congestion pricing tax, which is basically
we got our gas prices increased 65% for nothing, and people are how much? Yeah, 65 cents. Oh, I'm sorry, 65 cents. And people are noticing that they're getting nothing for this money that's going down the drain in California. But talk to us about Prop 1. What happened with that? What was that? You were fighting very hard on that one. And I was fearful that they would hoodwink everybody, as they always do with these propositions.
Yeah, hoodwink is the correct word here. So Prop 1 was a New York state legislature, again, controlled by the radicals here in New York. They put on our ballot last week the proposed change to our New York State Constitution. They dressed it up and made it sound like, and they called it an equal rights amendment, so that it sounds wonderful. But what you saw on the ballot was a 2-sentence summary instead of the actual language that would go into the Constitution. So that's step number one on how they did this great big, Trojan horse of a proposition. You didn't even get to read all the language that would go into the Constitution. And so they left out an entire paragraph that is paragraph B of the actual proposal. And that paragraph B gives the government license to discriminate against New Yorkers for any reason, as long as they said that they were doing it in the effort to reverse a past discrimination or to try to prevent a future discrimination. So this paragraph gives tremendous power to our state government, and not just the legislature, to agencies as well. And then what do we have? We have people reading this ballot initiative on the back of their ballot. It has 2 sentences. It doesn't say anything about paragraph B. So they have no idea that they're actually giving the power to the government to discriminate against them. And then you see those 2 sentences on the back of the ballot are summarizing what was paragraph A of the proposal. And paragraph A sounds very nice. You cannot discriminate against somebody based on their their ethnicity, their national origin, their age, their disability, their sex, their sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, pregnancy outcomes, reproductive health care, and autonomy. I mean, the list was a laundry list. It was 12 new classes that they were adding to our Constitution to be protected classes. So, people had no idea about paragraph B. It's being called an Equal Rights Amendment. There's only 2 sentences on the back of your ballot, which make it sound wonderful, because who doesn't want people to have equal rights, right? Nobody wants people to be discriminated against and treated unfairly. Right. So it passed.
That's right.
And
what is there anything you can do? Can you talk? Can the extreme censorship of the information could that make a case for anything, or you're just done? That's it. That's your new Constitution.
Yeah, I am looking into and talking with other legal scholars on the issue, trying to figure out if there is something that can be done. Unfortunately, so far, we're coming up short on causes of action to undo this. The people don't understand the ramifications. It's not just that the government can now make discriminatory programs, which, if you think about it, what does that look like? Well, reparations. Right? If the government in New York now wants to pass a law requiring reparations, okay, well, now it's going to be constitutional, because, you can point to the new language in the Constitution that just passed last week. Or if they want to start putting quotas on elite schools, high level, high performance schools, if they want to cap the number of, white students or Asian students, which is, what we saw happened with the Harvard case that SCOTUS had struck down. Basically, SCOTUS earlier this year had reversed discrimination, basically, which had been going on in universities and colleges for a long time. They call it affirmative action. And so now in New York State, that's been put into our Constitution as something that is legal. So you're going to see things like that start to happen. But even talking about you can't discriminate based on gender identity or gender expression. Okay, so now males have a biological right in New York State to play on girls' sports teams, right? And males have a biological right, a constitutional right in New York State to use women's bathrooms and locker rooms and dormitories and prisons. So, people didn't understand and people didn't think about the ramifications of that language, because it was dressed up in this really nice, warm, and fuzzy language of, protect everybody, equal protection under the laws. But you're now going to see, because the language in Prop 1 was so broad, you're going to see really protected classes pitted against one another in New York State and fighting over, well, whose rights are more important, right? Whose rights are now going to trump somebody else's rights? Does the trans athlete have more rights than the girls to play on the girls' sports teams? We definitely had a lot of people were speaking out about this. We had Riley Gaines, who came to New York, did a press conference with us back in the spring to try and help raise awareness about, the real dangers of Prop 1. I did a press conference in New York City about, 3 or 4 weeks ago with Paula Scanlon, another swimmer she was from the University of Pennsylvania. And she had to swim against, as did Riley Gaines. They both had to swim against Will Thompson, who had changed his name to Leah Thompson, and, get beat out, or in Riley Gaines' case, tied. But, think about it. Those women had to go into the women's locker room before a swim meet and strip down naked next to a, fully intact male. And, now here in New York State, that's constitutional. Those males have a constitutional right to do this. But where's the women's rights? What happened to women's rights? Where is the consent? I mean, are you going to ask the women, do you consent to have a biological male in your locker room? This is really going to open the door to mass confusion, because when you have something like this where the language is really broad, it opens the door. Lots of litigation is going to come out of this. And then what happens is you have piecemeal resolutions, right? You have courts and judges deciding these things on a piecemeal basis. And that is a problem, because then depending on where you live in New York State, you have different rights.
Yeah.
It's quite dangerous.
Yeah, going to be crazy. I really appreciate you bringing awareness about Prop 1 and helping us sort of slog through some of the excesses that have been going on, particularly in your state, but really throughout this last extraordinary period. Is there anything you're looking at coming forward? Then we got to kind of wrap things up.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to just mention, because you had Tyler on before, and he was talking about, how he was getting a letter from Delta, telling him, oh, our legal counsel is looking into this because you threatened, one of the women that works as a flight attendant. And, that's a perfect example of what we're seeing and what we're definitely going to see in New York State. You're probably seeing it in California, but even in Nevada, because Nevada passed a constitutional amendment 2 years ago on their ballot to put some of this, woke DEI language into their constitution in Nevada. And so a situation like that, well, now somebody like Tyler can be sued because he exercised his freedom of speech, his First Amendment right, because they deem it hate speech, or they deem it discrimination, or they deem it an attack. That is not the way that it works. The government is not here to tell the citizens what they're supposed to say, what they're supposed to think, how they're supposed to act. That is not the purpose of government. In fact, it's the opposite. We are supposed to tell the government what they can and cannot do. And we are supposed to tell them, this is what we want you to do, not the other way around. So these, people call them woke ideologies. People call them, DEI or whatever label you want to put on it. It's all the same premise, that it is government overreach. It's a government power grab dressed up in really nice language, like, hey, let's all be nice and not discriminate against each other. We're going to make a rule or a law that tells you can't say this or do this because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So they make it sound great, like they're trying to help people, but really it's a stunning power grab by the government. That is,
and again, as you said, the people are supposed to be instructing the government what to do, and then the Constitution is there to restrain them.
Yes.
To restrain the government, to protect us from the government, not from one another. All right, Bobbie Ann Cox, thank you so much. We appreciate the fighting. You're always fighting the good fight. I guess we should look for you at Brownstone, amongst other places. I'm sure you're pushing stuff out there as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I do write for Brownstone since I'm a fellow there, and people can access I do have a Substack where I publish my articles in addition to Brownstone. So my Substack is attorneycox.substack.com. Or you can just go to substack.com and type in my name, Bobbie Ann Cox. And I'm also on Twitter and would love to get some followers. And all I ever talk about is, your rights and the Constitution. Would love to get some people to help spread the word on these really dangerous issues and things that are happening at a federal level, yes, also at state levels throughout our country about our rights. Because if we don't stick up for our rights, then the government will absolutely take advantage of that and will just continue to push into our private lives. And if people don't know what their rights are, they're not going to stick up for their rights. So help me spread the word and just be more aware of what your government is doing and whether or not they can do that. Sometimes they have the power to do things, but a lot of times they don't have the power.
And that is at attorney_Cox. Thank you very much, Bobbie Ann.
Yes, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You got it. Good to see you. All right, coming up tomorrow, we have an extraordinary guest, CJ Hopkins. I don't know if you've heard this story, but I suggest you do look it up. And Remy Adeleke will come by as well, give us an update on some material. We have Laura Logan next week, Claire Craig coming back with Jessica Rose. I saw Claire Craig on, I'm blanking the British nurse's name. I'm blanking up, but she was on there with some really interesting new stuff. Andrew Gruel's coming back with Will Wilkinson. So we have a lot of stuff coming. And then also tomorrow afternoon at 3, Susan has her show. What's going on there? Kelly Victory's coming on your show.
Yes, we're going to talk about near-death experiences with a psychic, somebody who had one, and a medical doctor.
That's interesting. So be there at 3 o'clock, the usual places. Let me quickly look over. Caleb, while I'm looking at the restream, anything on your side? Anything surprising from today for you?
No, nothing surprising. It's all very interesting, the stuff that happened with Peanut the squirrel. It unified so many souls. And it also reminded me of this other horrible story that had happened recently in California, where there was a girl who she had a pet goat, and there was all this controversy over, she wanted to sell it over at some sort of a 4-H rodeo event, and then she had fell in love with this pet. Like, she raised this pet.
Oh my gosh.
And she had just lost 3 of her grandparents, and so her mom was like, well, I'll just buy the goat off of the place. But then the government basically chased her down. These cops they had a warrant to go search a property to find it, and then drove like 200 miles down the road to another farm, found it, took the goat, and had it slaughtered before the family even knew about it. Like, this little 8-year-old girl. So she just won $300,000 in a settlement. So I was like, yes,
good for
get
her.
that money. Get that money. Teach them a
Restrain
lesson.
the government, everybody. Restrain the government. They have, for some reason, run amok, gotten out of control. We need to pull it back. So we will see you tomorrow at noon for CJ Hopkins, and then 3 o'clock with Susan's show tomorrow. We'll see you then. Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help.